in commercial real estate and industrial?
I'll try to answer it quickly and succinctly, but a lot has to do with some of the idiosyncrasies of the property and like understanding that in certain markets, maybe buying not a steel corrugated building is ideal, even though the dollar per square foot, it's trading similarly because the industrial space is very hot right now. And we're looking at to see, okay, how many tenants are in there? What's the strength of the tenant base? When do their leases come? The weighted average lease expiration, so that we understand when we have breaks that we can underwrite increases or downtime for the property. But we want to make sure that there's real upside in the rents. We also want to see if there's efficiencies that we can make up for in the expenses. And a lot of times properties, and I don't know if people know what the phrase triple net lease means, but it means that all the expenses and the taxes and all the expenses incurred are broken out and charged to the tenant. A lot of these buildings, we're looking at places where we can convert over to triple net lease. Maybe there's a couple tenants that have been there already. So we're looking at a lot of different factors, but we want to also, we're typically buying stuff that's cash flowing out of the gates. We will do some heavy value add, but right now, with the way the economy is, we're better off looking at assets that are already cash flowing, but have upside through better management, through mark-to-market opportunities with the leases.
Now somebody says, hey, well, the owner of this building, hey David, I got a lead. The owner of this building says it cash flows. Like, let's just say I'm trying to gather as much information as possible to send you to underwrite it. How do they prove that it's cash flowing? What should somebody be asking a building owner to prove that it's cash flowing?
So you want to see the T12, the trailing 12 months of rent.
There goes a term for you guys, a T12. Okay.
So you want to see, and that's the same for multi or for industrial, you want to see the P&L and the bank statements to tie everything out. So there's a lot that goes into it. When we're buying a property, we have two analysts that are digging through every lease, making sure they pull out all the pertinent data, because every lease could be different. They could have different terms, they could have different extensions, all different aspects. So there's so much that you want to go through. You want to look through the utilities. If you are triple net, there's what's called CAM charges, common area maintenance, also that gets charged back to the tenants. You want to make sure that all that stuff is being charged back. If it's not, that could be an opportunity. So there's a lot of different factors that you're going to look at to get comfortable.
Awesome. And then we'll pass it to Sam. Now, Sam, just so I
Before
make
you
sure.
go there, yeah. I want to dumb it down, because if I'm brand new, I don't know any P&L, profit loss, triple gain, all that stuff. I don't know. But let me tell you. So if I'm Lamar, where's Lamar at? I'm a police officer, right? Only because I was a police officer. I'd be measuring people's, houses while I was working. Please don't record that. But I would do all kinds of different things. So if there's a commercial building, I happen to be there for a call, and I hear, the owner might wants to get out of the deal. He's looking to sell. You might be somebody I want to call. And I think, someone that's owned the building for a long time, maybe they haven't raised the rent. That's an opportunity for the next person to come in to buy the building to do a couple things. A perfect example of that would be, again, I'm not commercial, but I bought a commercial building. It was rented out to 3 different people. The rents were super low, 400, 1,000. No, 400, 600 the owner lived there. So what I did was buy the building. There was 2 sitting rooms. I made the sitting room the biggest office. I got $1,200 a month. The 400 guy moved to 700. The 400 guy moved to 700. The other office moved to 800, and there was another office in the back. We made it another 800. So that would be something where I can come to you and go, hey, I don't know this yet, but I think this might be a deal. Could you do something for me?
Yeah.
What could you do?
So I could help underwrite or give some details about it. The lending that we do is purely on residential. So we can't help on that, but I have certainly when we buy these properties, we've bought apartments, north of 40 million. The average warehouse is like 7 to 10 million. We use bank money and insurance money for that. The capital that we manage at Alpha for lending is really slated for the residential fix and flip and ground up construction subdivision. Yeah.
You're the guy. You're commercial.
Yeah.
You're the guy.
Yeah.
I come to you and make something happen.
Right.
Awesome. So now let's go to Sam. We're going to switch to residential, right? So Sam, somebody sent you a residential deal. Let's say I'm a realtor, right? And I want to break it down to a real life scenario. Hey Sam, I have this property. Is this a good rental property for you? Does this fit your numbers and what you look for? What makes a good residential purchase for you?
Okay, so these are my numbers. I don't even know if they still work with the mortgages right now and how things work. But how I did it was this: if it was $100,000, my mortgage insurance was $1,000, right? If I can rent it out for $1,400 or more, I can make $400 or more. It was a good deal. Now, perfect example. I don't know if you guys know, La Cascada is in Clementon, New Jersey. I buy those probably between $30,000 and $40,000. I put about $15,000 in them. I have 10 of them. They're now worth $205,000 to $217,000. And my rent went from back then was $800 a month. Like what he does, I eventually hired a property manager because my wife was like saying I can't buy more properties and I can't have that to rent. And that property manager took those from $800 or $1,000 because I just never raised the rent up to $1,700, $1,800 a month just for them 10, not including my other property. So not only did the property manager pay for himself that 8%, he actually brings me in about 35% more profit than I was making before I did it. I didn't care. I was just extra money to me.
Now, do you worry about are certain locations do you care about location, or it just matters all the numbers, that's it?
So I really didn't care the location so much as I like to put a lot of, design or like to put nice stuff into my properties. And when you have nothing and you're going to your first couple properties, that tend to means everything. So what I would do is, and I was a nerd, literally I studied everything. I would go and figure out the best way to do a lease, and what I did I think is a little bit different than anybody else. That day before I signed that lease, I would meet them at wherever they lived, and I would know if they were pig or I know if they were clean. And if they were pig, I go, see you later. You're not renting my house. So you never know until you literally go. You can have somebody dressed in a suit real nice. You go to their house and they treat their house like crap, their current property. And I had too much pride in my properties, and that's all I had. So, I wanted to make sure that I could fully, trust that person before I had to move in.
Gotcha. Also, because you'll also hear this thing called the 1% rule, right? Where it's like, hey, again, the numbers may not work now, but you always get different aspects from certain. Some people are like, hey, I just want to buy it. I'm not really worried about the cash flow because I'm going to hold it and let the asset appreciate. But it seemed like hey, a good target for you was at least 400 over my monthly net cash flow, and that seemed like a good deal for you.
Yeah, and then the other thing, again, I would flip 2 properties and I buy a house cash. So I always knew, obviously the lower end houses, anywhere from 30, I think the most houses that we rent, now we have short houses, but before that, I would think around 200,000 would be like the max I would do, because I would buy them cash. So I wanted to make sure my money was working for me. And, once you get to a certain number, it got a lot easier because now your profit is now turning back into buying the properties.
Awesome. So now this is going to go from kind of like the mentor side of things, right? So Sam, we'll start with you. From being a seasoned real estate investor, from knowing other real estate investors, and maybe it was one of the things that you've learned on your journey, but what do you feel separates the investors who grow from deal to deal from those who stay stuck or default or go backwards?
Okay, so I think there's got to be some kind of balance. You got to have somebody that's really pushing 150%, but you also need that other partner that basically holds the reins and say, slow down, we don't need this, slow down, because I'm the guy who pushes forward, right? I'm the 150,000 mile an hour person. Obviously, you see how fast I talk. I always like, when there's a deal, I like grabbing it, and I'll push everything as far as I possibly can go for as long as I possibly can go. So I feel like having that balance in that, and then again, not overextending yourself. So I see so many investors now, they're so worried about doing over a certain number, like, hey, I did over 100 flips this year. They're not worried about making any money. They're just solely focused on doing 100 or 120 flips. And again, revenue is vanity, profit sanity. You need to keep yourself sane. You need to make a profit. So that's kind of where I'm at with my life, and my rental properties pay for everything. They pay for my cars, they pay for my houses. Even when I bought my property down the shore, because again, we were spending $12,000 to $15,000 a year for Memorial Day, Labor Day, and 4th of July. So I figured, hey, actually, it was my wife's idea. I thought it was too much money. Thank God I did, because now the property's double, tripled. But the first year we bought our first shore house, which I think we had a small mortgage on it, but we profited $17,000, and to me that was a win, because I saved 12 plus the 17. Now you're at $29,000 win. So then from there I bought a second property, rented out that first property. It was a nicer property, both beach block, and then once I had that property underway, I bought my house on the beach. And those two other properties pay for my property. We basically take it out of there. We never take a penny out of our new pockets. It's those properties pay for my house where I live. That's pretty much it.
What about you, David? What do you find in your journey that you saw kind of made you successful, and kind of stomp and kind of stop the growth from people that you've seen in the business?
Well, for myself personally, it was I was a collegiate athlete. You'll laugh. I was a diver, springboard and platform diving. It's a sport of perfection. It's a sport of always continuing to improve in small increments. And I'm very driven in that way. And so, like when we started Alpha back in 2007, myself and my partner, I literally would work all day trying to find loans or be out at events, and then we get stuff in. We started lending our own money, but you run out of money very quickly. And I had to raise capital, so we would syndicate the loans. We built up to over $50 million of retail investor capital that were making these loans. And I would, be out every night at these networking events trying to get business, and then working the loans through the day, working on raising the capital. And it's about grit and determination. I see a lot of people that get that analysis paralysis. Like, it's amazing when I go to events and I see someone that's starting out, and now I feel like I have the intuition. I can tell many times who's gonna build a very successful business, and I can tell others that are just gonna keep showing up, but they're just never going to figure out how to crack that egg. But you have to be willing to take steps, and don't listen to the people around you that are going to talk you out of doing stuff. Become an expert in what you want to learn about. Know, if you're flipping houses, know the towns that you're in, meet all the local officials, the realtors, go look at the houses, meet contractors, and the people that do that stuff, they become knowledgeable in their local market, are the ones that become successful, and they're not afraid to make offers, and they're not afraid to work long hours, and that's what it takes. And it's a lot of grit.
All right, this is a good question right here, super tactical. If you had to start over with $10,000 and no network, what would be your first move?
I'd probably get a little podcast studio and start an OnlyFans page, maybe. I'm just kidding. I don't think anyone would want to see that. Although my friend Mike says there's a top for every pot.
Could you imagine this guy at the local swim club?
Right. In all seriousness, I would go out to as many networking events in an industry that I'd want to get involved in, which would be real estate. If I had the knowledge that I had, I don't even need the $10,000. I'd go out, meet people, find someone to partner with, bring my knowledge of how to acquire, finance, put the deals together. In a business, and he was talking about partnerships too, in a business, there's so many roles that have to be played to run a successful business, and you can't do all of them. And you want to find someone that really balances you out. And I would look to find people to partner up with that I could bring my intellect and my years of experience in doing what I do to make money and become very profitable quickly.
Awesome. Let's hear it from Sam now.
He was pretty much my same answer, but I'm gonna switch up a little bit. So what I would do, obviously the money doesn't matter. It would be $1, 10,000, $1 million. So it's kind of like finding the right people to put around you. So networking events is good, but also finding people that are doing what you want to do every single day, finding the people that are successful and you actually see their success and they want to share that. Because a lot of people that become successful, they want to share in that success. And if you find them and say, hey, you can add value to them, and all of a sudden you're making them money, that's going to bring yourself up. And then once you find those people, you start looking for others that you could help them out, and eventually, you know, that all comes back to you. And that's kind of what I do every single day. I find people that, you know, I put them in my circle. I try to coach them, mentor them, tell them what I do. Because again, my way might not be the right way. I don't know. It just worked for me. So it might not work for the next person. However, if I put my time and effort in that person, I can tell you this: it's always come back to me.
Just so the key takeaway from that, guys, is again, it's not about the money. I always tell people, man, if you find a deal, you can find the partners and you can find the money. If you don't know something, bring somebody an opportunity and say, look, I'm going to bring you an opportunity. Let's figure out a way to where I can learn from you and go through this whole process together. And if that person's making money doing it, they're going to be more than happy to bring you in on it, right? But it's just trying to find ways to bring value to high-level people too. That's a whole nother strategy kind of that I found helped me too. All right, here we go. Last question for you guys. What's one strategy or trend in real estate investing that most people are sleeping on right now?
So I kind of don't follow the trend. So everyone's going right, I'm always going left, right? So it's like with anything else. Everyone, you know, finds a trend, they start doing that, they start going down marketing, you know, you're dollar for dollar, now you're competing, right? You want to find a way where there's no competition at all or very limited competition. Like you said, the podcast, you know, podcast is something where you could just start talking to people. And all of a sudden you start opening doors and opening things that you never thought were possible. You start meeting people you never thought was possible, and things happen to you that you never thought were possible. Yeah. And all that's become true for me just by doing what I'm doing, networking, trying to do right by everybody, and trying to bring everybody up.
Yeah. So to elaborate on that too, guys, it's like, you know, as you just build relationships and plant seeds, like obviously if they're sitting on his podcast, they know what he does. So you stay consistent in that lane, next thing you know, over 30 to 60 days, you're like, man, I'm getting real estate opportunities left and right. So that a lot of these you're slowly starting to see some real estate investors get on social media, and the ones that do, what do they say after 90 days? They're like, oh my gosh, there are more opportunities coming to me than ever before. It's because they're not a secret now, right? And that's the same thing with all you and your business too. But like, that's a strategy in itself. To get to this question, that's like a trend, you know, slowly that most people aren't caught up to yet. But like Sam's on that now. It's like podcasts, and he's got everybody on there. And I'm sure it creates a lot of real estate investing opportunities, which most people don't know. So good stuff. And shout out your podcast too. Let everybody know what it is and kind of, you know, promote that.
Okay, yeah. So I kind of do like entrepreneurs, people growing their business. It's called Relentless Podcast. You know, we've been doing it for about August will be a year. And then on top of that, what we do, as far as like for other people, we started a small business Big Heart group. It's a bunch of different businesses, and then every quarter we do something for somebody or someone they need.
Awesome, good stuff. David, mic is yours, man. Give us a trend. I want to make money quick and easy, baby. What do we got?
Quick and easy is not.
I'm just kidding.
I wish I figured out the quick and easy. If I did, I'd be retired in the islands right now. I'll be biased here. I'm going to say that the small bay industrial that we're focused on investing in inside Lucerne right now is one of the best risk-reward opportunities in the real estate space. There's a lot of similarities to multifamily in some ways, but takes out all the negative things that have been affecting the multifamily space. You have real good cash flow out of the gates. You have the ability for some really big upside. The supply is heavily constrained, and unlike multifamily where the government is behind trying to help grow and you know, add new units to the population so that there's more housing, there's not people fighting to add small bay industrial. And small bay is like your neighborhood retail for industrial, where you have, your service contractors, your roofer, small manufacturers, HVAC companies, sometimes gyms of some sort. These follow rooftops. So if you're in a high densely populated area, these assets are extremely valuable. The land that's available to build on is very sparse in most areas. So getting new product is not going to happen, which is only going to continue to push the demand issue higher, and that supply constraint's going to keep pushing rents, which are going to continue to move up not only your cash flow, but when you sell these assets, to be able to get a very, very nice return for what's considered a low risk compared to a lot of other real estate asset investments at this point in time.
Awesome. And remember, guys, I want you to, everybody ever heard of the reticular activating system, right? So what that means is like, now you're hearing small bay investing, right? And you're like, man, never heard that term in my life. Next thing you know, you're going on, throughout your week. And, now you start warehouse, all this stuff. And, you may run across this opportunity 2 weeks from now, a month from now, like, man, I'm seeing these opportunities all day long. Hopefully you think about this event and you're like, you know what? I'm not going to try and figure this out. Let me hit up David. And be, hey man, I got an opportunity. I don't know if it's an opportunity, but I'm relying on you to let me know. Is this something you buy? Can we collaborate on this? That's how you leverage these events, right? So understand, now you're going to leave. Small bays, contractors, where they parking their stuff. I got this trash can cleaning company, one of my buddy owns. And I remember one of the ladies that run it, she's like, yeah, we're expanding. We got these freaking trash can cleaners. I'm like, what? And they need spaces to park these things. You know what I mean? So I just keep that in your mind and know that it doesn't matter, even if you have a real estate license or not, you can find ways to make opportunities happen, right? What are people looking for? Find it, call them, and figure out a way to make it happen. All right, so that is, we're done with the first panel. Everybody give them a round of applause. We're going to bring them back up for Q&A.